Batman of the Golden Age had his roots in pulp fiction, was a fearsome character, and it sort of made sense that in year 3, he would be a more feared character. Our series really tried to lean into the idea that Batman was the core and Bruce Wayne is sort of the mask.
Hello, ladies.
These are the younger days of Bruce Wayne when he is still finding his way as the Batman.
The idea of a Batman that's not quite as secure.
I'm not helping the law. I'm just breaking it.
That's interesting as a human being to watch.
Like, is there something that's there that we should lean into?
Tried to guide Bruce Wayne, and he found his way to be the Batman. I don't know whether that was ever Alfred's intention. As a father, you reach a point when you're no longer in charge of your kids. No doubt.
Make way, make way!
Batman is now struggling with the rise of supervillains. The level of criminality increases exponentially into a weird, dangerous new frontier.
We're getting feedback from the world around Bruce of how he's going to create this Batman persona.
I really believe the Bat's helping Gotham, even if he is on the wrong side of the law.
That was a texture that we haven't seen a lot of in other Batman stories.
I was so excited, but the first person I called was my older brother, Dominic. So when I got the job, I called him and I said, dude, I'm Batman.
I was offered the opportunity to do a new take on Batman, and it was exciting, but it was also somewhat terrifying.
And if it wasn't the Adam West series or comic books or Batman the Animated Series, you didn't have much to go to. It didn't exist yet.
It was actually a mandate not to repeat the Timverse version of Batman.
We were seeing a Batman putting an end to the mobsters and seeing the rise of the monsters.
The circus is in town!
You should never have put yourself in my sights again.
Christopher Nolan was doing Batman Begins at the same time on a parallel track. We had to avoid certain things that they were doing.
The writing team, the producers all had a really interesting vision for this new breed of villains that were coming about in Gotham as a response to Batman's arrival.
Smiles, people! Smiles!
To me, I took my cue just from the animation when I first saw the character, and his nose was slightly punched in. And I always thought that was interesting, you know. I think he'd been boxing as a kid, and I just love that little detail that they had his nose kind of a little smashed in, because he's a good-looking guy, but he's got a little bit of something.
I think anime and the DNA of anime that is in Jeff Matsuda's art style really became the portal to the attitude and the tone and the storytelling.
Bruce Timm's design theory, right, is to simplify and to dummy-proof things. Jeff's design theory is, I don't want to do something that's normal. You know, I want to use shapes that are distinct.
Those more extreme visual interpretations of the character lend themselves to weirdness, and it gave us license, I think, to push this sort of comedic, bizarre elements of the show in a way that Batman the Animated Series couldn't as a more realistic, gritty drama.
And I personally like anime, and I like the fact that it was used sparingly. And I think what it did for the villains, which I like so much, is it let them be broader vocally, and yet it still fit in with the good guys, the heroes. It didn't seem like they were two different cartoons. They did seem like they lived in the same world.
Lights out, Batman.
Honestly, the choreography, I hand it to our directors. Sung and also Brandon Vietti and Sam Liu. You know, they all sort of set the pace for the anime style.
Call me Penguin, a flightless bird, but one with style.
Penguin was just Penguin, and Brandon's like, this has got to have something, because it's kind of just jokey and it's kind of plain, you know what I mean? And so he was like, I'm gonna make Penguin into this master fighter.
We knew Penguin always had umbrellas as weapons before, but we wanted to find a way to take that to the next level.
The actors have to really learn how to do fight walleye and how to throw punches, take punches. If you put an H on the front of the sound, it sounds like you are doing the action. For example, throwing a punch. Taking a punch. Put a vowel on the front of it. That's a U. That's an A.
Trying to ramp up their physicality in combat and then film that in an anime way. And that would really bring something new and different to the action of the Batman.
You should learn to play nice, Penguin.
Superheroes remain attractive to people as they grow into adulthood, and those adults demand stories that are more sophisticated and more interesting. So the writing needs to meet that challenge to entertain those people.
Because we weren't being, you know, as dark as Beat has with the Timverse, I think serialization and storytelling was a way to hook them in.
I thought that gave it a great color and depth that is part of the hallmark of the show.
And I think The Batman was one of the shows that was at the forefront of that transition from episodic to serialization and superhero storytelling.
Storytelling doesn't just stop with what's on the script page. It's how it's translated by the actors, visually, and all the way to sound design and music. Thomas Chase Jones did a wonderful job getting into our heads about the tone. Being at Warner Brothers, we had wonderful resources, and we had a terrific music department who, when we started talking about theme songs, gave us a list, and The Edge was on it. We heard the demo that he did, and to me it was perfect.
They came up with a spooky guitar that was the perfect complement for the Batman himself.
When we talk about making the character of Bruce Wayne more relatable, humanized, the key was really Alfred.
He's the one person that Bruce Wayne can actually say the things, talk about the things that really trouble him.
I should give it up.
Sir, I would be more than delighted to encourage you to hang up the cape and cowl out of concern for your general health and welfare. But you would only hold it against me once your fever broke and you came to your senses.
As year 3, a younger Batman, I think Alfred is still sort of doting. He's still protective of Bruce. I was less interested in just retelling the Bane story and the story of Bruce's convalescence, but that A story became a vessel to delve into Bruce's past and crime alley.
Alfred's there to back him up and say, keep going. And so he serves all these different purposes.
I had not worked with Alistair Duncan before this series. What was so clear right away was that he understood the character.
Or perhaps it's your way of seeking what the Batman cannot have, the approval of Gotham's finest.
Within that gravitas was also a certain levity.
Yes, I'm fired, I know.
He had a fondness and a love for Bruce, and Bruce back to him.
Ellen and Ethan represent a great point of personal contact for Bruce Wayne. It creates a great point of conflict for Bruce and makes him wonder if he's doing the right thing.
I'm sure the Batman means well, but he's still a vigilante.
I think a key theme of our series is the exploration of the idea of vigilantism.
You are not one to bask in glory, Master Bruce.
The idea of your child, your mentee, becoming a vigilante is awful, particularly for somebody like Alfred, who has such a strong code of ethics. But that's what his ward has chosen. Every day he must worry that Bruce is going to cross the line.
I don't believe it.
Being the cerebral hero that he is, He's the perfect character to kind of delve into these issues of what is right, what is wrong.
Mild-mannered Olympic hero by day, butt-kicking Batwoman by night.
Daniel Judovitz gave Batgirl a different energy.
We had already set up Batman as being a younger Batman, a younger Bruce Wayne, and now we got a young character who we could see her point of view on the world around her and how these supervillains were affecting her and how she saw the Batman. You set up Barbara right away as a conflicted character who's looking for the right way forward to do the right thing.
What gives our series a layer of complexity is the way we see the two detectives go about their different ways of exploring the idea.
We're chasing two perps. One's a criminal, the other's still a vigilante.
Hey, Ethan.
There's lots of duality in Batman in general. We didn't have Two-Face to play, but we had Clayface.
No!
Those episodes were particularly interesting to me personally. You know, your best friend has turned into a monster and a villain.
I made you who you are. Said so yourself. And from where I dangle, you make a better villain than vigilante.
Chop chop, Batman!
I'm super proud of the work we did with Oswald Cobblepot and the Penguin.
I am a Cobblepot!
That character has a mouth that goes from ear to ear, and I think that probably helped Tom figure out what kind of voice he wanted to do, because you've got to have the voice match the character.
We looked at it more as Oswald as a threat to Bruce Wayne. So we envisioned Oswald Cobblepot as the anti-Bruce Wayne, where Bruce Wayne is wealthy and powerful. Cobblepot has lost his family's fortune and is poor.
Show me the money!
And never play with a full deck!
Our concept was that Joker was almost like Gotham City's collective moral rot personified. This idea that he was sort of part of Gotham, part of all of us.
One bad day can define a character, or for that matter, one moment can define any of us.
Well, in my case, a rotten day and a chemical bath.
In Bruce's case, of course, the murder of his parents was incredibly shocking and formative. But I think that for all of us, these things that happen to us, for better and for worse, shape us.
Bring it on, rodent boy!
His villains have a very rich psychological history, and they're all very unique, and they challenge different aspects of Batman's own psychology.
Psych! What Ma said!
That kind of ties into a good personal stake for Batman or Bruce Wayne, so that it's not just a villain threatening Gotham City. The villain is threatening characters that you care about.
So what took you?
I feel like we broke a lot of talent on our show. We had Brandon Vietti and Sam Liu, who have continued to make great DC Universe films. Christopher Yost, who has gone on to have a terrific career in features.
I think that the past informs the present and the future, and I hope that our series affected the creators of today. You know, they might have watched it in their youth.
The love of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and all that genre stuff has gone mainstream, and it's acceptable for people of all ages to enjoy this stuff.
The series was from 2004 to 2008, but then every year I'm doing something to do with Alfred, and he's coming back into my life. That allows me to actually be slightly different with Alfred.
What a pleasure it was to watch this series again after not having seen it since practically we made it. And I'm so very pleased that I actually can look at the whole thing, and it's even better than I remember.
A lot of us that sort of grew up with these kind of things are now in these positions where we can kind of like greenlight these type of things, or you know what I mean, or work on these kind of things.
Just want to do it right, so that for those people that are discovering Batman for the first time through something you've worked on, and that hopefully they fall in love with Batman and his rogues gallery and Gotham City and all of the characters that come along with Batman, just as you did when you were younger.
Any good mythology, the stories serve to illuminate psychology or help us understand or make sense of the world. And I think the Batman was able to do that.
Spiffy costume.